The lecture hall was overflowing, not with students but with faculty, administrators, and reporters scribbling furiously. At the front, under the bright lights, Dr. Renee Lawson stood tall. In her hand, she held a stack of worn lecture notes, pages frayed, ink smudged from years of use. "These aren't just notes," she said, her voice resonant. "These are the ideas that built careers, ideas that were stolen, silenced, and sold. And tonight, I'm here to show you exactly how it happened." The room buzzed. A few professors shifted uncomfortably. The dean cleared his throat, but said nothing. Renee set the notes on the table. "If they want to pretend my work never existed, let's remind them." Page by page. Rewind 2 years. Renee Lawson had just joined the faculty of a prestigious university. Fresh PhD, published in top journals, a subject matter expert in urban policy. She was one of only 3 black professors in the entire department. Her first semester, she poured herself into her lectures. Students loved her energy. Her notes, handwritten outlines, charts, and theories, circulated widely. She became known for connecting theory to lived reality. But in faculty meetings, her presence was diminished. "That's an interesting perspective," the chair would say, before turning to a white colleague to expand. "Renee, could you take the minutes for us?" another would ask, as if she were an assistant, not a peer. Still, she pushed forward. Teaching, publishing, mentoring. Her breakthrough came when she developed a new framework for analyzing housing inequities, what she called intergenerational displacement chains. It was innovative, data-driven, and rooted in community voices. She presented it at a faculty seminar. Applause filled the room. But a week later, she saw pieces of her framework in another professor's grant proposal. No credit, no mention. When she raised it quietly, the response was sharp. "Ideas overlap. Don't be territorial, Renee." She swallowed her anger, but she didn't forget. She tucked her original notes into a folder. Then came Aisha Green, a graduate student, sharp and observant. She lingered after class one day. "Dr. Lawson, I just want to say, your work is different. It's the first time I feel like my neighborhood, my family are part of the conversation." Renee smiled, warmed. "That's the point. Policy isn't abstract, it's lived." But weeks later, Aisha came to her office, face pale. She slid a conference flyer across the desk. "Look, isn't this your framework?" Renee scanned it. A keynote abstract, her language nearly word for word. The speaker? The same senior professor who'd shrugged her off. Her chest tightened. They took it. Again. Aisha whispered, "Then let's prove it." Together, they began collecting evidence. Emails where she'd shared drafts, meeting notes with her diagrams, copies of her lectures. Every time her words reappeared under someone else's name, they added it to the file. The folder grew heavier. Meanwhile, the microaggressions sharpened. "Renee, your students seem overly attached to you. Maybe you're not rigorous enough. Do you think your research is too activist for tenure?" Careful, you don't want to seem angry. Each cut deeper than the last. Have you ever had your work, your ideas, or your effort taken and passed off as someone else's? Drop a comment, because speaking it out loud is the first step to reclaiming credit. The breaking point came at a national conference. Renee sat in the audience as the senior professor unveiled her framework. Renamed, rebranded, applauded as groundbreaking. The crowd rose for a standing ovation. Renee's stomach churned. Aisha gripped her hand. "Next time," Aisha whispered, "we'll be the ones at the podium." Back at the university, whispers spread. Tenure decisions loomed. Renee's file was under review. The chair called her in. "You're not publishing fast enough. You need more originality." Her voice cracked. "Originality? My work is in your grants, in his keynotes. How much more original can I be?" He leaned back. "Be careful, Renee. You don't want to develop a reputation." Reputation. The word stung. That night she sat in her office flipping through her lecture notes. Smudges, scribbles, arrows. Her fingerprints on every idea. She whispered, "If they won't recognize it, I'll force them to." The chance came sooner than expected. Students launched a petition in her support after noticing overlaps between her class material and the professor's new theory. The petition gained traction, spreading online. Alumni chimed in. Reporters took note. The dean called an emergency faculty hearing. Renee knew this was her moment. She arrived with Aisha at her side, the folder clutched in her hands. The room was packed. Cameras rolled. The senior professor smirked, confident. Renee stepped forward. She placed her lecture notes on the table. "These are my ideas," she said firmly. dated, signed, and witnessed by hundreds of students, and here's where they were taken. She flipped page after page. Notes, drafts, emails, side-by-side comparisons. The audience murmured. The dean shifted uneasily. Aisha stepped up, voice steady. I was there. I saw it. I heard it, and I documented it. The room fell silent. Renee lifted her notes high. This isn't just about me. This is about every scholar erased before they could be recognized. Every student told their knowledge doesn't count. Tonight, we end that. If you'd be standing and clapping right now for Renee, hit the like button. Because too many stories like hers get buried in silence. The aftermath was mixed. The university launched an inquiry. The senior professor quietly stepped down from a major grant. The chair promised new policies. But tenure? Delayed. Her reputation as difficult followed her. Still, she wasn't alone anymore. Students rallied. Alumni supported her. Other young scholars reached out. You gave us courage. One evening, Renee walked into her lecture hall to find her students waiting, holding copies of her framework with her name at the top. She smiled, tears in her eyes. You all did this? Isha nodded. We're making sure they never forget. Renee clutched her notes, worn but intact. They were more than pages now. They were testimony. Some stories don't end with clean victories. They end with notes, creased, smudged, undeniable. They end with questions. Who gets remembered as a thinker? Who gets erased? And when your lecture becomes someone else's legacy, do you stay quiet, or do you stand until your voice echoes louder than the theft? Before you go, I want you to think, has your voice ever been silenced, or your work erased? Share your story in the comments, subscribe for more truths like this, and let's make sure no one's notes get stolen again.